Welcome to your Venus in Cancer 2024 Transit Talk. This is the Peace Dealer, and we will, of course, be talking about what to expect relative to this very juicy and heartfelt transit. Venus, of course, which governs our ability to give and receive, is the celestial organ that represents our heart. And as such, the feminine sexual basis of how we like to give and, most importantly, receive love. This romantic portal is transiting through the individual and cardinal sign of Cancer, reflecting our individual feelings that make us special, in that the way we feel about things will not be really the same always as another individual. And the cardinal function of feeling is the fuel with which we drive forward in this second cardinal sign, water sign, Cancer. That being said, this transit will be establishing itself from the 17th of June to the 10th of July, 2024. Taking into account the activation of your heart through Aries, where it unlocked with the nodes, and activated a new healing cycle with Chiron, and then grounded that direction, innovated in Taurus before it entered Gemini with the 29 peak conjunction with Jupiter, and then has such expressed the mindset of such fierce activation to get out its ideas in Gemini. Now the integration of this is taking these three facets of your character you have activated around your heart, and it is adding greater depth to such. We will, through Virgo, begin to integrate how much more substance we can take a part of this activation, taking these seeds that are now growing through the ground, and most importantly, as is represented by the Two of Cups in the tarot, develop very powerful relationships with those who we trust. The relevant transits that we will have during this Venus Cancer transit will, of course, start off with the square to the North Node in the second decan, and that will be followed up by a sextile to Mars and Taurus in the second decan, and then we will end the second decan off with an opening trine to Saturn. This will now, of course, lead to the third and final decan, where we will have the sextile to Uranus and the trine to Neptune at the very end of Pisces. The opening square to the North Node at 11 degrees, in following up Mercury and then to be followed by the Sun, is a very important checkpoint relative to the eclipse that we had in March and April. And this 90-degree square is getting ready to grow through the ground. The seeds planted relative to the original and raw direction that we are moving towards in Aries, and will now deepen how much more substance we align with this original direction as we move forward from this square. This is very important, as themes romantically and or platonically will be brought up as if a seed that has been growing from the ground to get ready to break through the ground, so that you can gain so much deeper nuance around what direction to integrate and take these budding relationships or any existing or new partnerships as well. relative to your tastes and what you find you actually desire more. You will see this mature so that you can not only still be authentic, but be a bit more sincere relative to how you bridge this approach towards other people. And that's where the sextile to Mars is going to take the smooth, natural, grounded actions that Mars is already integrating relative to its position with Pluto and Aquarius towards your own natural values. And of course, add the emotional, intelligent, polished touch with Venus so that relative to this smooth direction, you can, of course, add deeper feeling and take the dry, grounded element of Taurus and fill it with color and emotion that is aligned more sincerely towards you and will actually open the door towards more sensual romance for those of you who want to take advantage of that or, indulge in that. So the opening trine to Saturn, just like Mercury had done, and the Sun will subsequently do so, is integrating the system of beliefs that you have up until this point tailor-made and that Saturn will retrograde and reevaluate so that you can drive the direction of your heart and everything you feel you love that you want to create and express creatively, all right, to really engender so much more talents. This is going to be really great because a lot of things you've believed up until this point, you're able to directly practice. You're able to directly actually apply through what direction you take with other people. And there's going to be magic that happens here where a lot of things will be that much less abstract, especially through the square with Gemini that began to shift your ideas around this so that you can feel in that direction. And this will definitely make sure that there is integrity in what it is you're doing, especially after that Mars sextile, so that in between we do have that groundedness of action. So it's not just in your head or it's not just in your heart and feelings. All right. The sextile that we have with Uranus will make very unconventional a lot of how we move forward in this direction. And this will revisit the conjunction we had with Venus and Uranus earlier, which some people will call a twin flame aspect given the ancient lore between these 2 points or planets rather. But what we want to see here is a much more unconventional dynamic of how we communicate emotionally, intelligently, and how we can accomplish so much more with just looking at someone's eyes without having to say nearly as much. And we do want to look at the slight proximity to Mars to Uranus, which will add a very unconventional element to how we act off of this development of our heart as well, especially with Mercury that now in Leo will really be adding a lot more swagger and courage behind what we say. And as such, even though we had the 29-degree conjunction with Mercury and Gemini, which did a whole lot to really disillusion us around certain themes of romance that we might have had or your platonic connections with friends, now that we've been properly disillusioned, we can move forward at this mastered level as we will reevaluate the utilization of our imagination and the abstract metaphysical mechanics that directly tie into our direction, the hearts that we pump will take relative to, at this final degree, who we feel we should move forward with and what we feel we should do with this maximum level of finesse, technique, and power. By this point, this is going to really tie together the integration of every synchronicity you've had and what realistically you're ready to do relative to, how that makes you feel about certain people, the archetypes you're learning through these people. And yeah, this is going to, relative to this angle, open up a lot of fun if this integrity of beliefs has been, really established. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us the mutual love integration arc, which will integrate, or at least begin to integrate our heart's desires, enabling us to establish romantic and platonic connections that are aligned with where we are at and how original and authentic we are wishing to move forward. This deepens the heart's feelings and will enable you to, listen to the guidance of your heart and where it's taking you. Not so that we can abandon all logic, but just to remind you that it's okay to color outside the lines a little here and there. You don't want to be too rigid and some boring, emotionless robot, unless that's your thing. Aries. Venus will be transiting your fourth house as an Aries rising, and it will be making a 90 to 120-degree angle to your sun and moon. This is going to engender much deeper comfort, and that will be done so by making you a little bit uncomfortable. Next year, Jupiter will be expanding the bejesus out of your comfort zone. And for you Aries risings, look forward to a move. So until then, as you are expanding your mindset and the truth around your abilities and what you are expressing and updating in your expression, this begins to polish how comfortable you feel in your own skin, in your own home. And is a very auspicious period to invite romantic potential in your own home, to at least gauge with who you're comfortable with, who you can connect intimately behind closed doors when it's just private between you and them. This will also polish your private relationships with others, but the whole purpose of this transit is for you to really look within and make sure, as this is squaring the Aries placements with the North Node and Chiron in your sign, you are able to align this budding, activated, unlocked sense of originality and authenticity with those who you engage with privately in your immediate reality. That being said, you will find that the more you challenge yourself to open up vulnerably to those private to you or who you trust to bring into your private life or to know private issues, the more this will increase attractability, the more this will develop your character, and the more fun you will potentially have once we start to develop your fifth house in Leo. That being said, this will also enable you to draw from the 12th house with Saturn and Neptune hidden metaphysical reflections, which will direct how much deeper you can understand what these emotions are attempting to tell you and are outright screaming at you. I hope you enjoy this. Taurus. Venus will be transiting your third house as a Taurus rising and will be making a 60 to 90-degree angle to your sun and moon. This will develop greatly your emotional intelligence, as you will be activating the sincere direction with which you develop your attitude and skills. As a representation of natural quality and value, you will be expressing the sincere, powerful element of emotions relative to the definition of your mindset and mind state. That being said, this will polish activated psychic abilities. The full and the new moon will prepare over that 2-week period to harvest and activate, all while Jupiter is evolving the value of your thoughts that raise up your moolah. This will, of course, subsequently follow the evolution of these skill sets of this third house portal. But until then, Venus really does open up great opportunity for you to engage romantically and or platonically in love, as simple as just leaving your home. All right. Even though the third house is in a homebody sign of Cancer, the third house still is your immediate environment or neighborhood. So the way you can really bring this emotionally intelligent attitude towards those of, anybody in your immediate environment, it doesn't mean that it is limited to just your neighborhood. Travel if you feel the need to, but you will definitely come into a lot of auspicious opportunity just walking around your neighborhood, going out to your local bar, talking to certain friends, inviting certain friends out, as this isn't really just to find somebody, but to express your general mindset, and in the development of such, maybe, even getting lucky and connecting with the right people. But this isn't really about getting lucky. This is about making sure in the expression of your attitude, you align this with unconscious habits you are releasing, as the 12th house Aries portal will challenge whether you're able to set a new attitude relative to letting these unconscious habits, which may have gotten in your way, finally release once and for all. Gemini. Venus is transiting your second house as a Gemini rising, and it will be making a 30 to 60 degree angle to your Gemini sun and moon. All right. This is going to polish your investments. It's going to make you rich. And it's going to really be, let me say that, it's going to make you rich. I'm not even joking. And it's going to influence a whole lot of how you align your feelings around what you're worth to quite literally supercharge ahead of time what kind of money you make, how you develop your finances, and how you empower the nature of your confidence. Mercury, your ruling planet, is already giving you ideas and ahead of your consciousness, wrapping your mind around what you're worth and what to feel about that. So Venus is going to smoothen this over. Venus, which rules the second house, is literally going to enrich in its polishing how much more you feel you're worth, which will attract more value to you and inspire you with ideas or, of course, direction rather to, what more to do to spruce up this level of value. All right. And also the psychic power and intuitive element that goes into simply manifesting and making more concrete and tangible elements of, you guessed it, your value and self-esteem. This, in connecting with the North Node in Chiron in your 11th, is going to challenge how well you allow the original understanding of your friendships with others to influence your worth, or how the right friends can add to how much you feel you're worth. All right. So this is a really great period for gift giving, especially or receiving gifts platonically and or romantically, and to making sure through this transit you're around the right people who don't just blow smoke up your bleep, but actually simultaneously challenge you to step more into your worth and actually show you love and help expand what it is you're really worth. Jupiter is expanding your thought process about yourself. So this will really, really great as you are leveling up all year. Cancer! Venus is going to be transiting your first house as a rising and will be making a 0 to 30 degree angle to your sun and moon, which is appropriately a polishing of your identity and everything you feel about your appearance and your personality. Venus and or Mars entering your sign or first house is like the torch of beauty or sexiness being passed towards you. And this is just a scientific fact. I've measured this. I'm going to do more case studies about this, ones that I can actually measure and write down so I can make a research paper about this. Venus do your first literally just adds to your beauty. You get hit on more, you get noticed more. It's literally like a firmware update when it comes to your style and beauty. And this is going to prepare for Jupiter getting ready to expand this very majorly. So while you are, of course, releasing unconscious thoughts around your beliefs, this is going to, of course, polish everything you feel about yourself, adding so much more beauty about yourself, adding so much more finesse, and really putting you in a position to express the embodiment of, once again, said beauty and come into this abundance as you are effectively activating a new cycle here as well. Especially if you're the rising, great period to do a makeover, great period to move forward with not so much a new style, but to just polish up an existing style. Keep in mind, this is really like the last of this 12th chapter before Jupiter comes through and completely expands this. So be mindful of how you're inspired, especially with the square to all this in Aries, making sure you are aligning this feeling of yourself relative to recent success originally and independently of unlocked. The name of the game of success for you, Cancer, is independence. All right. Everything that you can accomplish by yourself. And this is going to really shift how you feel about yourself now that you have taken action to unlock this, because you're no longer the person who is working towards a success. You got it. You did it. All right. So how do you feel about that? And that's what's going to really reflect moving forward. You're going to be moving forward more swaggily. I made that word up. And you're going to feel so much more sure of yourself, not because of a planetary transit, but this is how you're going to use that planet to reflect the inevitable and the obvious. Welcome, Leo. Venus will be transiting your 12th house as a Leo rising, and it will be making a 330 to 360 degree angle to your Leo sun and moon. This is going to polish the depth of unconscious habits and, behaviors that are obsolete up until this point. Mind you, Jupiter will also expand this next year, creating a very deep pocket of surrender, letting go of any resentment, bitterness, saltiness, so that you can be the swaggy king or queen that you know yourself to be, walking down the red carpet. So before Venus this year goes over your sign and you get out the shower and walk down the red carpet, this is going to resituate your emotions in the effort to release outdated feelings you no longer need to feel. You do this every year. All right. So with that being said, just next year is going to be the big one with Jupiter. So with that being said, this is actually a really great period to dive deep into vulnerabilities you have refused to really speak on, or you might have been blind to, as the 12th house is a subconscious house that we may not be the most aware or conscious of. That being said, this opens up clandestine connections, hidden connections. Hopefully you're not playing with unrequited love here, but it will enable you to release anything in these patterns, especially regarding relationships, romantic or platonic, that might keep you stuck. All right. Especially with that nasty 8th house trine with the Pisces there. This is going to really be abysmal if you haven't done the work and sorted through who you can trust. If you were still kind of flirting and just connecting with people who you know aren't really the most trustworthy, but they kind of tempted you with the allure, good luck, because you're going to pay for that. But for those of you who did the work, this is going to really speak towards a divine level of tapping in so much more, deeply with those who you can trust, none of which is supposed to be easy. So you don't get at yourself because it's difficult. It's supposed to be, but this is going to really mark so much growth. And with the alignment of this challenge towards your philosophical approach relative to who you see yourself as, this will provide so much deeper insight so that you could feel so much more comfortable in your own lion skin. Virgo, Venus is transiting your 11th house as a Virgo rising, and it will be making a 300 to 330 degree angle to your sun and moon. This is a very, very auspicious period to get invited by friends to go out or to go out with friends. Thankfully, as the Hermit representative in the Tarot, the Virgin, your 11th house portal is marked by an individual sign. So it doesn't take away your ability to make friends individually or to make friends who are special, sincere individuals. That being said, Venus in your 11th house will open up the opportunity for you to meet new people through your social circle of friends. And as I have experienced in real life, you can open up opportunities to meet new romantic potential through people introduced by your friends. Thankfully, it is not limited to this, but knowing that this is in your house of your belonging, your career associates, your rewards from career, this will, of course, open up auspicious opportunities, especially through the new moon cycles. Moving forward, especially with also the exalted Mercury planet that you have going through here, wrapping your mind around, what to think about this and what to think around what you feel around this as well. The more sincere you kind of keep it, the better this will kind of lead, especially in platonic relationship settings as well. The square towards your 8th house will really sort through, relative to the boundaries you drew earlier this year, who you trust. And you'll find that those who in their sincere disposition, they're not fake, you can actually trust, you'll be able to do more with, move forward more with. And I think the more fun you have, the more free of an approach you have towards really getting to know people deeper, the more this will lead to greater success. And if anything, this will, of course, borrow from Jupiter currently expanding and evolving your success in your career so that you can polish ahead of time the rewards you will receive and with who you receive this with as well. Libra, Venus is going to be transiting your 10th house as a Libra rising, and it will be making a 270 to 300 degree angle to your sun and moon. This will be polishing the nature of your legacy and the sincere individual actions that will be taken in order for you to come into success. Venus is polishing work with which, since it was in its dignity in your sign last year, you have since activated, integrated, and harvested. And now since then, you are completing this, which is even more important considering that next year, Jupiter will come through and level this up as it is currently leveling up your philosophical approach, expanding maybe your relationship with collegiate courses, higher education, the meaning of the truth of what you may be teaching directly or indirectly. So we are applying this perspective towards the direction of how you now take this forth into your legacy, the feeling of what career goals you're ready to accomplish. Mercury is already adding, insight and information of maybe what direction to take moving forward. And this is really a great period to introduce to a prospective romantic partner or an existing romantic partner or platonic friend what it is you do. It's a great debut, especially if you're just meeting them. A transit like this will really encourage taking your spouse to where I'm just joking. You can do that though. But I think I'm not going to give you date ideas, but just as an example of this concept, anything that incorporates what your career and legacy is, what it is you do, which I feel like the best way would be to lead by example and just show them, incorporating how your goals tie into these relationships, much bigger picture, your reputation, any way you can indirectly or directly show that. This will definitely not only be the most auspicious, but putting yourself out there in general is going to attract more attention. It's beautifying your reputation and how you're seen. Great to put out press releases, amongst other things. And the square that this will make to your seventh house of partnerships will challenge whether this direction you are, of course, completing relative to your legacy aligns with the space you're holding authentically to promote original partnerships you are quite literally destined to unlock moving forward. Scorpio, Venus will be transiting your ninth house as a Scorpio rising and be making a 240 to 270 degree angle to your Scorpio sun and moon. So with that being said, this will, following Mercury, polish the philosophical approach as an embodiment of wisdom with which you show others relative to your sincere feelings. And as such, given the polishing of Venus, actually clear up and make smooth more of an expression of your own psychic power and abilities, getting you ready for the Leo transit that will complete how you apply this direction towards the development of your legacy and career. That being said, this is also a great period to polish any higher education material you may be studying, especially if you're a teacher. This will polish the method with which you apply this update in your psychic ability to teach with. And for those of you interested in romantic opportunities, putting yourself out there as far as showcasing your abilities and talents, or being in a position to lead by example and instead of talk about your feelings, show them in the very mysterious ways you do, Scorpio. We know you. This is going to not only set up a very auspicious summer period, but it will direct you in the ways you need to be directed, especially with its connection to Saturn and Neptune in your fifth, aligning the integration of this creativity so that it could be demonstrated properly. And this is where you want to make sure that with the square this will be making to your sixth house of routine in Aries, the unlocking of your original lifestyle is balanced to a way with which you can practice what you preach, aligning this philosophical approach to everything you've already put in work towards harvesting the quality and originality of your routine and behavior. As such, the more original your behavior is, the more pronounced this ninth house or 240 degree angle will be to show others individually how said aspects align. Sagittarius, Venus is going to be transiting your eighth house as a Sag rising, and it will be making a 210 to 240-degree angle to your sun and moon. This is going to engender much deeper intimacy relative to the activation of the integrity of your value you have established since the end of last year, beginning of this year, during Capricorn season. This manifestation of integrity with which you activate every year now is beginning to harvest in the eighth house relative to the sincere efforts and actions you take to not only deal with others but protect your investments. This will have you draw boundaries on those who feel you are less than you are worth or less than you are, while diving so much deeper with those who you can, are you ready? Trust. As such, the fifth house Aries portal with the nodes challenging how creatively you can express this integrity of value with the originality that it represents is also going to make sure you're able to align these trust issues so that you are not spreading original ideas to people who are going to steal them, but you are also connecting deeper with those who you can trust with these creative talents and abilities, especially if you think that in dealing with others, this greater original and raw sense of your talents and creativity will, of course, push you deeper to deal with relevant characters who you can and set up a very powerful return of investment by the time we come back around again to Capricorn, which Pluto will be retrograding back into for a short period over the rest of this year. Because we also have this sextiling your unconventional Uranus sixth house transit, this will also really begin to transform the nature of how unconventional your lifestyle has become, setting up very amazing facets of automated income. So I hope you have fun with that. And if there are people who you do wish to grow deeper intimately with, be okay with being vulnerable, because this, while it does have the potential to get messy, will enable you to dive deeper with people in ways you've never done before. Capricorn. Venus will be transiting your seventh house as a Capricorn rising, and it will be making a 180 to 210-degree angle to your sun and moon. This will represent very powerful harvest that will polish the actions you feel you should take with others in your relationships. And concerning that, we still have innovative Uranus in your fifth, making unconventional this very grounded and smooth expression of your talents and creativity. Venus in the seventh or opposite your sun and moon does a lot to harvest auspicious activity to quite literally attract relevant partnerships. So if you're single and you're looking to mingle, I will never say that again. If you're single and ready to mingle, I just said it again. It's there. Like there's really no excuse. You don't make excuses, Capricorn. You the GOAT. That's why we like you. But personally, it's literally that simple. It's not as simple as putting yourself out there, because this will be attracted to you. This is meant to harvest everything you have activated since Venus was last in Capricorn or through your first house. That integrity with which you represent is now being expressed through sincerity. And it is that checkpoint in Aries squaring the North Node and Chiron in your fourth that will now harvest how much more comfortable you are in your own skin, being authentic by maintaining that alignment with authenticity, to how sincerely you express this inner authenticity towards other people. So this is really a great period to not put your heart on your sleeve, but to share your heart with those who you want to move forward with. And if anything, even if just in a platonic sense, this will open up greater intimacy moving forward, as you will have a smoothness of emotions to share. And it doesn't have to mean emotional, really, or you're being emotional as much as empathic. Of course, that link to the fifth house will innovate very creatively how well you can really form very lucrative partnerships that you feel good moving forward with as well. Aquarius, Venus will be transiting your sixth house based on your rising, and it will be making a 150 to 180 degree angle to your sun and moon. This transit will very sincerely, in special quality and fashion, integrate the behavioral patterns that will be polished, similar to taking aspects of your lifestyle and tweaking it, beautifying it, polishing it in a way that not only speaks towards the balance and the finesse of how it is you're going to really align these emotions towards the way you actually live your life, namely, how do you feel about what you're doing, and how, when you do your routine, does it make you feel? Venus in polishing this will integrate themes of romance for those of you who can, through an action step, incorporate platonic connections and romantic connections relative to your routine. Namely, a great date idea would be to take a date out with you when you're working out. Go running, go jogging. What are ways with which you can incorporate and integrate your relationships, platonic or romantic, into your lifestyle? As Venus will make sure these facets don't clash. And with the square to the north node in your third, making sure that this unlocking and activation of an original mindset and attitude can be properly integrated, where you do have the sincerity of depth to align such with a seemingly raw and vulgar attitude, which doesn't have to be vulgar, but will be original, will be raw. And with the trine to Neptune in your second house, add so much more direction to how you take the abstract quality of your own imagination and belief around your worth and drive through Cancer the very psychic and sincere ways to tie all of these, rather integrate all of these themes together. The more fun you have with this, the better you will have. Or rather, the more fun you have with this, the better time you will have of this. But as is your name, Aqua, I'm sure you know. Pisces, Venus will be making a fifth house transit to your rising, and a 120 to 150 degree angle to your sun and moon. This stimulates not only creativity, but applies your heart towards the development of your talents, converting the abstract divine imagination portal you represent through extrasensory perception, and directs this through unadulterated sincerity, as well as integrating how deeply you can feel around what you love. As such, this is an amazing period to revisit creative projects, to spark creative projects, and to put yourself in a position to develop the talents with which you currently have, with which Jupiter next year will evolve. So while you are evolving the comfort zone and expanding the nature of thoughts that will inevitably lead to a deeper sense of creativity, Venus ahead of time is polishing this. And especially for those of you who may wish to engage with others platonically or romantically, this will guide you through your heart to share passions with those who also align to the things that you love to do. Really, the more fun you are having, the better that this will work and direct you to where you need to be directed. Focus more on that than any results or outcome, and you will be Gucci. Once again, the more focus you could have over actions that develop your creativity and talent, the better you will be guided towards where you need to be, especially with Venus's square to the nodes, which will challenge whether you can maintain this authenticity of what you feel you're worth and how well you can integrate the creativity and expression of that talent to add to this value. After Venus course corrects its direction, beginning its integration through Cancer, deepening the substance of emotions, reflecting the depth of your character. This cardinal direction it has driven itself through will make its way on stage into Leo and strengthen the courage of your heartfelt expression, adding much swagger to the way you express your creative talents and everything you love about them. Thankfully, with Mercury, that is moving on ahead and may subsequently retrograde later on, your brain has processed information with which, moving forward, your heart will begin to polish. And just like Mercury, we will be experiencing that intense opposition to Aquarius, where Pluto, aka Hades, resides. So in conclusion, this transit will deepen a whole lot of what you begin to integrate relative to your heart's sincere feelings, and who platonically and or romantically, even if it's just yourself, you decide to integrate this with. The more you enable yourself to really feel where your heart is guiding you instead of suppress it, the more you will get out of this transit. I hope you enjoyed this transit talk, and until next time, peace.